wanted to go over part of a discussion with the Triggernometry boys, Francis Foster and Konstantin Kisin, where they kind of just chat shit about migrants, crime, the current economic situation in the UK, and yeah, they lie. Who would have thought? Let's get straight into the video.
But I think the key divide that I would say is, well, first of all, both sides are very angry. Very, very angry. And that makes sense because if you're going to go to a protest, you're probably going to have to be quite angry. Most people have, especially when the summer is nice, there are 3 days of sunshine a year in England. You know, most people aren't going to be spending their Friday afternoon, early evening doing that. But the main divide, I would say, is the central divide that I was able to discern is the people who are effectively there to say, oh, you know, illegal immigration, asylum, refugees, whatever, we need to be welcoming, whatever. Their worldview is everyone is the same. And
yes, the egalitarian equality view that people are all the same. So clear, good, well represented. Well done, Kisin.
They are, it's the Beatles, imagine there's no borders, it's easy if you try.
No, that's a straw man. I believe in borders and a sensible immigration policy. That's a straw man. People don't believe that just everyone can come over. That's such a straw man. Like, oh no, but like, yes, I have anarchist tendencies. I don't like nation states, but no one is arguing just open borders. Straw man.
It's that worldview. And the people on the other side recognize what I think is true, and we know this from the statistics, that not all people, not all cultures, not all ethnic groups behave in the same ways. You can say that they
Such a vague dog whistle, isn't it?
have the same dignity as a human being and should have access to the same human rights and all of that.
You can say, does that mean you agree with that? See, he's so slippery and vague. Like, you can say they have human dignity. I mean, they're living on £7 a day and, you know, not great conditions for the most part. And they've come from Eritrea, Afghanistan, Iran, war-torn countries. But yeah, you know, you could say, does that mean you believe? Again, we'll never know.
But that does not mean that they behave in the same ways. And we know, statistically speaking, that there are groups that are way more likely to commit certain crimes.
Yes, there are, Kisin. Yes, there are. Eritreans and Afghan men, certain types, are more likely to commit certain acts, as are white men more likely to sexually abuse children. Will they talk about that? The significant high rates for white men doing that? No. He's just talking about brown people when brown people do it. And there is a correlation between young men more likely to commit crime between 18 and 34-ish. That's the peak crime years for young men. And yes, if there's young men coming over, statistically, from poor countries, and again, he dog whistles and says culture. No, culture has nothing to do with it. It's geography, generally. It's not culture has a correlation with crime. No, it's geography and poverty. If you're coming from a poor country like Eritrea, a war-torn military dictatorship, there's a chances are that you're gonna probably more likely to commit crime. You're already a young man, so you're already like just that alone. Young men are more likely to commit crime, but they won't talk about that. They won't have an honest discussion of where crime comes from. It's just this, and I think there is an implied essentialism here because he won't. Fair enough if he had a broad discussion about okay, white men are more likely to sexually abuse young boys and girls. That he won't have that discussion, and certain other groups are more likely to sexual assault. Like there is Pakistani grooming gangs, there is also white grooming gangs, there is Eritreans, there's Afghans committing sexual assault. We can have this honest discussion, but he doesn't want to have that discussion. He just wants to be like, well, let's, you know, some people essentially are better than others. Some people, ethnicities, some cultures are just better inherently. That's what he's implying. And because he's so vague about it, he can do the plausible deniability.
sexual assault, for example, right, which is skyrocketing in Britain at the moment.
Yes, they just show the data. No ethnicity, no culture here. Sexual assault of female aged over 13. They don't do the ethnicity breakdown because there's a lot of white men in there too, but they don't talk about that. And also, are they going to talk about why sexual assault is increasing? No, they won't. It's just like, just make that kind of correlation between immigrants, illegal immigrants, scary illegal immigrants, and sexual assault. Not actually go into why and what we can do about it. They're not interested in solutions either.
And I think the protesters who are against housing asylum seekers, illegal immigrants in these hotels, recognize that reality, while the people on the other side are often, they've got a very nice and a very kind approach, but it doesn't necessarily grapple with the reality of this issue, which is when you have a...
It does. If you treat people with human dignity and see people, okay, as victims of environment, see crimes correlative to poverty, not just culture or ethnicity, you can go, actually, yeah, we can solve these problems. We should do our bit for refugees and asylum seekers, take our fair share, like we're not, and we can recognize that they do deserve human dignity, just like you do, Kisin, just like you do, Francis.
bunch of young men come in from cultures where, let's be honest, they don't respect women.
That's a very broad statement, and that is a racist statement, because there's plenty of white men, as we saw in the riots, hundreds of arrests of white men who have previously domestically assaulted their partners. Not necessarily the same as convictions, but arrests. Will he talk about that? Of course he won't. Of course he won't.
Especially women who are not of their tribe, of their religion, whatever, you're going to get problems. And we are sitting here today recording this.
It's just insane that he's just not talking about like the level of treatment of women from people who are so-called native, just white English men. Like, we're acting like, oh, there's no problems. We don't have a rape culture. We don't have a massively low conviction rate on rape, which is like 1%. Like, no, it's just a certain type of man. It's disgusting, really.
On the day when 50,000 illegal immigrants have come into this country since the last election. Now, the last election was last summer. So in a year, 50,000 people have come. Now, what does that mean? What are those statistics, right? When I came to this country, 1996 is when I moved permanently to this country. 55,000 people a year came into this country legally. We now have that.
Again, they are legally here. That's why they're in hotels and they're not in prison cells, or they've not been deported. Again, dangerous conflation. I know they tried to get rid of the right to seek asylum and migrancy status in the UK, but it still applies. The 1951 Refugee Convention still applies. Yes, they're trying to fight it, but it still applies. There's a reason they're in hotels. There's a reason why humans in a democracy, in a liberal democracy that values democracy, freedom of speech, human rights, they are treated like humans. They might not get treated this way in other countries, but we should be proud of those Western values that we constantly talk about. Kissing? No? Okay. Wonderful.
That same number of people coming illegally every year. That is extreme. And when you do extreme things, you have to...
Do you mean extreme? What do you mean extreme? Look, that's such a vague... Like, just scare. It's extreme. Don't look at the context. Don't see how it's been going down actually in the last year. Don't see what causes that, geopolitical conditions that actually cause that. Don't actually analyze and look at the data like, this is a complicated issue that demands nuance, and go, okay, what are the causes of this? What's happening in Afghanistan? Did we have any hand in that? Yes, we did. What's happening in Iran? A lot of people from Iran. Eritrea, again, a military dictatorship that has had a lot of civil war and a lot of issues. So look at the global context of why people come here and like analyze why. Okay, why people come here? He won't do that. He's just like, it's an extreme. And then that's his audience is like, oh, scared. That's all he's doing. He's actually a very proficient propagandist. And this is why I cover this stuff, because he's very calm in how he does it. Very seemingly neutral, vague enough to like kind of like not to be scrutinized in any meaningful way. Like he's very slippery, so he can say like, "Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't say this. I'm not implying that." It's very. He's actually very good at it. The more I watch him, I actually see he's actually very good at what he does.
Expect an extreme reaction, which is why I think there's so
Why? This is very deterministic language. Like, oh, we've these extreme numbers, 50,000 people, which isn't that really that a lot. It's not a lot of people really compared to the legal migration, and then which is nearly a million comparison. It's not a lot. It's like, oh, you have to expect an extreme reaction. There's going to be riots on the street. It's a powder keg. It's going to blow. This is very fascistic language. Very fascistic. Like, they want this war. It's, yeah, the revolution's coming. Civil war's coming. It's like, and they actually talk about this at the end of the video. They go on, talk of civil war in the state of London. Like, this is a very far right talking point here.
much tension about this issue now.
And also as well, you have to factor in the economic situation in this country. We have a cost of living crisis. I know.
Why is that though? Again, they don't say vagueness like cost of living crisis. Why? Why?
Everything is a crisis in this country. But for the average person.
But why? Where's the crisis come from? It's not migrants. It's not refugees. It's not asylum seekers.
In this country, making it to the end of the month is a real struggle. So.
Because he'd know about this. Yeah, great.
If you do your job, your 9 to 5, whatever it may be, and you put food on the table for your kids, you pay your rent, your mortgage, your bills, which have skyrocketed because of our delusions for net zero and all the rest of it.
How is that a delusion? See, this is anti-imperialist. This is fascist talking points. Oh, net zero. How dare we try and actually solve climate change so we are not reliant on gas and fossil fuels and Russia, and that we can actually be self-sufficient as an island. We can use renewable energy. Like, it's so disingenuous.
And you make it to the end of the month. That for most people in this country is a win. That's how most people live.
They actually do, yeah. A good amount of people do do really work, go paycheck to paycheck. They haven't got enough for a £500 emergency. That's like 60% of the population. But what's his solution? Oh, like somehow just stopping immigration would make their bosses pay them like living decent wages? You're having a laugh, aren't you? But again, they have no solutions. It's just like scaremongering, like, oh, this cost of living crisis, net zero, bloody immigrants. That's what they're implying here. They're not saying it directly because they're cowards, too cowardly, but they are trying to make them go, oh, bloody migrants, these bloody brown people.
Now, if you see people coming over and getting housed in like a hotel, like the Britannia Hotel, which is a luxury hotel, and they get everything paid for.
They don't. They get £7 a day, like everything paid for. Like, it's so Again, lies.
That quite naturally arouses anger and frustration.
No, it doesn't. Naturally, no, it doesn't. That's the thing. It doesn't. Like, no, none of this is inevitable. None of this is inevitable. It's the right-wing media, the GB News, the Daily Mail, constantly going on about migrants for the last 100 years plus. The propaganda. You have to drip feed this to people on a daily basis. That's how they get angry. Because otherwise, they look at the top. They look at Canary Wharf. They look at the power, the money in Canary Wharf, and they go, wait a minute, I can't afford to pay bills and send my kid to university or buy them a house. Whose fault is this? Is it, little Eritrean guy just trying to come over and have a life? Of course it's fucking not. It's the billionaires who have the money, who have the political influence, who you're towing the line. Like, these guys act like, oh, we're so anti-establishment. We're against the fray. We're in the center. We're just fighting for the working people. You do not give a fucking shit about the working people. You never have. You don't know the struggles. of the average working person. So shut the fuck up.
particularly if you're from a community which is deprived, which is struggling, which
Oh, what's your solution then? Are you going to give people pay rises? 20 quid an hour? No? The higher taxes? More public spending? I mean, any solution? No. Okay.
you can see that there's homelessness, there's problems with drug addiction, services are being cut.
Yes, austerity. Are you against austerity? 14 years plus of austerity? Like, again, they have no policy solutions to this stuff.
And you're going, well, hang on. Why is it that the money that should go to British people, everything's being cut, there is no money, we're consistently being told that we're bankrupt, yet we're housing migrants?
What? This is a problem manufactured by the Tories. Yes, we have no money. That's why we need to raise taxes. And then, oh, how dare we house migrants? How dare we? Compared to what we spend on Trident or what we spend on MPs or private outsourced NHS contracts. Like, no, they don't want to talk about that.
In luxury hotels, and they're getting given everything. And yet,
No, they're fucking not. Oh, given everything. They get sports cars, they get Bugattis, they get phones, they get like a harem. They get everything. They get everything. Didn't you know? Fucking pathetic. It's just so pathetic.
I can't get a GP, and I've been a taxpayer for 30, 40, 50 years.
He can get a JP. He lives in North London. Like, I'm sure he can get a GP if he's not going private. He's a fucking idiot.
Where's the fairness? So that is an added layer to it, is that people are really angry and frustrated, and quite rightly so. And then what they see and they perceive is this, I mean, not a two-tier system, but certainly.
God, he's got all the fucking talking points. Like, is he actually reading them on the... Like, it's so, like... And people say, oh, like, this is so grifty, isn't it? It's just so blatant. And it's like... And I'm so glad that they don't let him talk that much, because he's even worse than fucking Kisin now. At least Kisin is a bit more kind of oblique in his dog whistles and a bit more, like, imply stuff. Like, fucking Francis he's going wild.
Certainly there's an injustice happening there, and they see it as preferential, and they're angry, and they've got...
God, yeah, but you don't talk about the billionaires, do you? Or the people who have all the money, the bosses, the corporations who don't pay their fair share of tax. Talk about Amazon, Google, YouTube. Yes, you're listening, YouTube. Do you pay your fair share? Answers on a postcard.
every right to be. So that is also a real...
Yes, it's the refugee that comes over on a small boat that probably gives their life savings, risk their life for a better life. That's the problem. Not the people at the top who have all of the fucking money, all the political power, all the medial power. That's the enemy. That's it. Little Eritrean man there. He hasn't even got a name. Just some Eritrean man who is the problem. Fucking amazing. It just makes you like, why do people buy into this?
There's a real injustice there. And British people always go, oh, there's no such thing as British culture, which is obviously rubbish. What?
Who the fuck has ever said that? Who the fuck has ever said there's no such thing as British culture? We're open. We're a progressive, fucking tolerant society that believes in Western liberal values of, human suffrage, universal suffrage, democracy, freedom of speech, treating refugees as humans. I'm very proud of that tradition, actually. My liberal tendencies are coming out here, but I'm very proud of that. Why can't you be proud of that? Like, be nice, treat people as humans. No, okay, fair enough.
One of the central facets of British culture is the importance of fairness. It's
Oh, so fuck refugees, right? Fuck them. Send them off. Go back to your fucking country. Fuck off.
importance of fairness. You know, that it's fair, that you don't cheat, that it's, that's, be a good.
He slipped on his words then because, oh yeah, actually, yeah, we probably should treat refugees like that. If fairness kind of applies to everybody, not just the whites. Oh, he slipped up there. Come on.
Sport.
The news moves.
Oh, I would love to go through this whole hour and 12, but it's too depressing, man. It's so fucking depressing, the state of the UK right now. And actually, Triggernometry are one of the most popular propagandists of the far right because they normalize it. They talk in this neutral language. They make it seem just, we're talking common sense. Why should these refugees have human dignity? And, just why should they be treated like humans? Like human rights? What do human rights have a place in the 21st century? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Do they? I think they should. Maybe that's because I'm woke. I'm a woke liberal, maybe, who believes in human rights for everybody. Comment below and I'll see you in the next video.